Season 2 premiere of VintageTech, the show we talk about old technology, popular, recognized, secure. And we're going to be talking about, we're going to play with power, portable power, the Nintendo Game Boy, released in 1989. Now, in Episode 2 of Season 1, I talked about the Game Boy Advance, which, it never aged well. I do want to remake that episode, but not right now. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the one that started it all. It was released in 1989. Now, I won't talk about the full history about it, as there's lots of videos on YouTube about it, but I'll talk about a brief history about it.
The Game Boy was designed by the late Gunpei Yokoi and the team at Nintendo R&D 1. After the massive popularity and revival of video games of the Nintendo Entertainment System, Yokoi entered a meeting with the then president of Nintendo, Hiroshi Yamauchi, about a handheld system of interchangeable games. The Game Boy's codename was Dot Matrix Game, referring to its dot matrix display. It wasn't until Shizugato Itoi, creator of Earthbound, suggested the name Game Boy. Hank Rogers asked Nintendo of America President Minoru Arakawa to put the game Tetris as a pack-in title, to which he agreed. The Game Boy competed against the Sega Game Gear and Atari Lynx, both having a colored backlit screen, but the Game Boy was more successful thanks to its aforementioned pack-in title, Tetris, and lower price point. Because of it, the Game Boy sold around 118.69 million units worldwide, and that's including the successor system, the Game Boy Color.
Game Boy, though, is not the first handheld games that use interchangeable cartridges. That distinction belongs to Milton Bradley Microvision, released 10 years prior. But it was the Game Boy that put portable gaming on the map. And, funny enough, Nintendo remained undefeated in the handheld gaming industry, as many of its competitors failed. Well, okay, maybe the PSP, it's still very but nowhere near as its competitor, the Nintendo DS. Oh, I actually did that episode as penultimate episode of Season 1, so please check out everyone. Anyway, enough chat. Time to talk about the system itself.
The Game Boy's dimensions are 3.5 inches in width, 5.8 inches in height, and 1.3 inches in depth. It also weighs in at 220 grams. The Game Boy is powered by a custom 8-bit Sharp LR35902, which is a modification of the Intel 8080 and the Xilinx C80 CPU, running at 4.19 MHz. For the input, we have the A and B buttons, start and select buttons, and the D-pad. Those are on the front along with the speaker and screen. More on the latter later. On the left, we have the optional AC adapter port and a contrast dial. On the right, we have the link cable connector for usually multiplayer games like Tetris, but we'll talk about its other uses later. And the volume control. On the bottom, we have the headphone port, and I should correct myself on episode 8. It turns out the Game Boy is capable of stereo, but only for some games. On the top, we have the cartridge support for inserting Game Boy cartridges, and a power switch, which also locks the cartridge in so that it can't be taken out, which explains why Game Boy cartridges have a notch. Now, I thought the TurboGrafx 16 also locks the game in when the unit is turned on. Nintendo recommends that you should leave a cartridge inserted to prevent the system from attracting dust. Finally, on the back, we have a compartment for 4 AA batteries.
Okay, so I wonder what happens when you try to turn on the Game Boy with no game cartridge inserted. Well, the Nintendo logo looks a bit corrupted, and that's a really unique thing. Because there is no game cartridge inserted, or if the Nintendo logo was corrupted, then the game won't play. Well, for obvious reasons. Alright, let's try a game cartridge. Put a game cartridge in. Yeah, it looks... This is Tetris. Oh, one quick thing. If you're noticing this red light, that's actually my camera. Yeah, because it actually reflected a bit.
The screen is a monochrome 2.6-inch reflective green screen STN LCD with a resolution of 160 by 144 pixels. It has 4 shades of gray. You're not going to see any color on this Game Boy. The Game Boy also has 64 kilobytes of address space, which has 8 kilobytes of built-in working RAM, up to 16 8KB switchable RAM for up to 128 kilobytes, 8 kilobytes for the screen, and 32 kilobytes for external game card ROMs. In addition, the Game Boy has an on-CPU die 260-byte bootstrap ROM, which contains from 32 kilobytes to up to 8 megabytes for the cartridges. For sound, the Game Boy has 2 pulse wave generators, 1 PCM, 4-bit wave channel, and 1 noise generator. In addition, there is also external out for the inserted game cartridges, but no games make use of it, to my knowledge. Oh, and a bit of a warning about the screen. Aging Game Boy units may suffer some vertical lines.
Yeah, the backlight is one of the biggest problems. But then again, when its competitors, the Sega Game Gear and Atari Lynx, had its backlight as the main problem, it was probably for best. Oh, and if you thought this gray brick is the only one of its kind, guess again 6 years later.
In 1995, Nintendo released different colors of the Game Boy as part of their Play It Loud campaign. The colors are red, green, yellow, blue, black, white, and even clear, where you can see the insides of the Game Boy. The most common Play It Loud editions you'll find online are the red, yellow, black, and clear colors. Green is a bit scarce, but blue and white are the rarest. In fact, the white one is the rarest of the Play It Loud colors. The latter two colors were released exclusively in Japan and Europe.
Now, what's the point of having a white Game Boy when this gray brick exists? It should be noted though that the buttons, well except for the D-pad, and the power switch are all black on the Play It Loud colors, instead of a bit of a purplish for the A and B buttons, and gray for the Start and Select buttons. Oh, I actually do have one to Play It Loud editions, which you might want to see near the end of the episode. And if you thought the brick is the only one of its kind, oh boy, the Game Boy started trying to minor hardware revisions!
In 1996, Nintendo released the Game Boy Pocket, a smaller version of Game Boy that can fit in your pocket, hence the name. The dimensions are 2.99 inches in width, 4.88 inches in height, and 0.91 inches in depth. Besides the dimensions, there are also several differences. The Start and Select buttons are more horizontal than diagonal. The alternate AC adapter port is now moved to the bottom, but they are still the same headphone port. They also switched the positions of the volume and contrast dials, along with link cable being on the left instead of the right. Speaking of which, the link cable port uses a smaller design, which we'll talk about later. However, there is one thing they removed. You know the original Game Boy? There is a piece of plastic that slides onto the notch to prevent the cartridge from being taken out. Well, there's no such thing on the small. However, the screen now uses a proper black and white screen instead of a green screen. Even though there is no backlight, the screen has an improved pixel response time to eliminate any ghosting. However, it should be noted that early versions of the Game Boy Pocket have no LED indicator. In fact, the one I have is an early unit. Please keep this in mind when you're collecting Game Boy Pockets. Oh, I forgot to write this down, but the Pocket now takes 2 AAA batteries instead of 4 AA batteries.
The Game Boy Pocket is also the last piece of Nintendo hardware designed by Gunpei Yokoi, which I guess you might want to know why.
Also worth mentioning is the Game Boy Light, released only in Japan. As the name suggests, it has a backlight, making this the first Nintendo handle to have one. Because of it, it requires 2 AA batteries. A fitting last hurrah for the Game Boy, as it was released just a handful of months before the Game Boy Color was released in Japan.
Interestingly, that electroluminescent technology is the same technology used on many digital watches. And I know it's a smartwatch, but you get the idea. Anyway, you know what my favorite part about doing a VintageTech episode of Game System? Well, the accessories, of course!
The first accessory is link cable, which allows for 2 Game Boys to link up together and play 2-player games like Tetris, for example. However, there is an innovative use for link cable, and that's with the Pokemon series for training the creatures. This is crucial since there's not only evolutions exclusive for training versions, but also each game Pokemon series is released as 2 different versions for each generation. Both have the same plot, but the Pokemon Go counter are different. There are 2 different versions of the link cable, one for the original Game Boy and one for the Game Boy Pocket, which is the same one used on the Game Boy Color. Interestingly, there's another cable that allows one Game Boy Pocket to play 2-player games with an original Game Boy. In addition, there's also an adapter that allows the second-gen cable to work on the original Game Boy, back to original link cable. There's a 4-player version that allows 4 games to be connected, as seen on Angry Video Game Nerd episode 147. One of the most common complaints about the Game Boy is its non-backlit screen. So, a variety of light products for the system were there as a solution. Some are simple, like the UV light, and others can also magnify the screen, like the Light Boy. However, the best accessory for the Game Boy, besides the link cable, is the Game Boy camera, which is a simple point-and-shoot camera for the Game Boy for the SNES Gen 8 as a game cartridge. I'll do a more in-depth video on the accessory at a later date. In addition, there are external speakers to make the Game Boy have proper stereo without having earbuds. Some accessories, like the booster, makes it good to have a light and stereo audio without having weird contraptions.
There are actually 2 accessories I forgot to mention. One of them was unreleased called the Work Boy, which turns your Game Boy technically into a miniature computer. And it was unreleased, like I mentioned before. Then again, if it was released, it would fail because we have laptop computers. If you want to learn more about that, please check out this video by Vision Gaming. And another accessory we'll point out is the Konami Hyper Boy, which turns your Game Boy into a miniature arcade cabinet. You know, like one of these novelties. Anyway, there's a switch for joystick part that lets you set the joystick position up, down, left, right, or diagonal. The up, down, left, right are more suited for games like Pac-Man and the Game & Watch Gallery. And the latter is most suitable for games like Q*bert for rather obvious reasons. Anyway, the only accessory I only have to link you because I just don't want to repeat that because I'm so many accessories. Anyway, time for the gameplay scenes. Oh yeah, that's the one I do near the end of every VintageTech episode about game system. But I won't be playing this on this great brick. Instead, I'll be playing it on this one, which has been mudded with a multicolored backlight. And this is one to play it loud, red editions. The reason why I wanted different colors so I can easily differentiate which one is which. Okay, so the first and obvious choice when people think of Game Boy is Tetris. And obviously, it's a pack and tile for Game Boy. And Tetris was is one of the most popular games. Started with this Game Boy game, it became one of the most successful video game franchises, including a movie that's based off the legal rights. But I'll mention one of the most notable Tetris games, Tetris Worlds, on Xbox. And that was actually for such used the now standard Tetris guidelines. And we're just gonna say it on Xbox because I just have the Xbox version. Anyway, let me show you. Now, for obvious reasons, they have different colors. So what do they do? Well, they have different shapes. Okay. Now, Tetris is a combination of tetra, meaning 4, and test, designer Alexei Pachinov, his favorite sport. And we get Tetris. And speaking of which... yeah, and now I'm playing Type A, which is the marathon mode. And music. It's based off of a famous Russian song, which became one of the more iconic themes in video games, alongside the Super Mario Bros. Theme and the Doom theme, and technically Xenoblade. yeah. I don't want to spend too long on this. Oh, I kind of did it on purpose, but you can see how it was so addicting. I got a top score. I remember this score does not save. Of course, another launch title is Super Mario Land. Now, this is a first ever handheld mainline Mario for a system designed with interchangeable cartridges. And this one is kind of an oddball in Super Mario series. Well, outside of American Super Mario Bros. 2, aka Super Mario USA. Instead of rescuing Princess Peach or Princess Toadstool at a time in the West from Bowser, you rescue Princess Daisy from clutches alien by the name of Tatanga. Yeah, kind of odd way back then, but nowadays with the Mario version more stale. Especially the recent movie. I won't spoil it for those who don't watch it. It's kind of really neat then. And yes, the Daisy you're saving is the same Princess Daisy of Mario spin-offing. Kind of check out Nintendo used her as a mainstay in the spin-off series. Well, unless if it's a free update model. Look at you, Mario Strikers Battle League! Yeah, that debacle is. Anyway, instead of Fireball, we got the Super Ball Flower. Oh, Firefly. Wait, I care from Mario Bros? Oh wait, the Goombas? Okay, Goombas. Oh, it's a can! Yeah, if you have a Super Ball file, you can go through there. Oh yeah, the Super Balls can actually go through the cracks and crevices. Yes! If you reach the top one, you'll go to wait for it. Wait for it. Bonus stage! I was going to Ball Flower. Now, Super Mario Land will be followed by a sequel 3 years later called Super Mario Land 2, 6 Golden Coins. And This one, as far as I know, is the only mainline Mario game, not counting Bowser's Fury, where you don't save the princess. Instead, you're reclaiming a land. This one is save system. Now, unfortunately, this Super Mario Land 2 cartridge actually does not, actually battery backup has died, so I cannot save. Thankfully, we do not need a save, we just need a cartridge to work. Now, anyway, that castle there is Mario's castle, which has been taken over by Wario. And yep, that's the same Wario who later took over the Super Mario Land series with the third game, which became first the Wario Land series, which followed by 4 sequels. Wario Land 2, Wario Land 3, his greatest achievement, and Wario Land Shake was the last game. And then became an inspiration for the WarioWare series. Anyway, this one actually has a care where Wario can turn into a bunny. When people think of bunny ears, they think of Playboy bunnies, dear God. And I've already did that before. And Super Mushroom, and you actually have to spin jump. Now, this is actually performed. If you're Super Mario or Fire Mario, you can actually press down. Now, oddly enough, the game featured the final boss, Super Mario Land. Yeah, that's kind of a spoiler. Oh! I missed. Piranha Plant. Yeah, for obvious reason, Rob Blizzard Heart, and we have a Superstar. Now, it's a Fire Flower. Now, when you're Fire Flower, you turn to a feather. Now, it may seem racist nowadays, but back then, it made sense for rather obvious reasons. Anyway, we got to the goal! Oh, wow. Made it! Well, I'm gonna show you only one level. However, you know what arrived the same year as Super Mario Land 2? That's right! Kirby's Dream Land! This was the first in the Kirby series that spawned a long legacy Kirby games, including the Secret Kirby and even another game, Kirby's Adventure, which came out before Kirby's Land 2. Now, this one is an early installment. This one doesn't have no copy doors, no dash really. It's just a basic platformer for babies and little kids. Now, Kirby's Dream Land, the first game, was the best-selling Kirby game for 30 years until Kirby Forgotten Land beat it. Anyway, we'll show you the first stage. Now, this is actually very short. And this was actually the game that put Hal Laboratory on the map. Well, they did make games before, most notably the Eggerland series, which features the character Lolo and Lala as Lolo and Lala. Oh! Twizzler! Bronzo Bert! Alright. Now we have Poppy Brothers Sr. Now they have Mid-Boss. Now Mid-Boss are just more like obstacles. They don't get copy release. I mean, without copy. Oh! I missed! It's weird. Alright. Now we're gonna face the boss. Now this one became a mainstay and is usually the first boss in Kirby games. It's Wispy Woods. No. Alright, that's Wispy Woods. Let's go on to the next game. Alright, this is Game & Watch Gallery. Now, Game & Watch Gallery is a collection of Game & Watch games that are released for the Game Boy. And the last one was actually released on Game Boy Advance. Believe it or not, Game & Watch Gallery is actually not the first game in the series. The first game is actually called Game Boy Gallery, but released in Europe and Australia. Yeah, now these are classic or modern. Classic mode is just the classic feel, which I'll show later, but modern mode is actually just uses Mario characters. Wait, as you can see a demo here. And that's why I said they use nostalgia rating. At least it's not new Super Mario Brothers levels of nostalgia pandering for obvious reasons. In case those obvious reasons are, this one came out before New Super Mario Bros. Was a thing. Or supposed to be New Super Mario Bros. Anyway, as you can tell, I should interrupt save, and that's Manhole Modern. For Modern mode, you play as Yoshi, trying to prevent these pedestrians to fall down. Now, these platforms can also double as a safe spot. Try to play it like this. I like it when my camera actually has a swivel screen. Oh, toads him. Oh, that was close. Donkey Kong Jr. almost fell down. And yes, that's actually Donkey Kong Jr. Poor Toad. Oh, there, it's me, Mario. Toad. Not waiting to waste any time on Modern. Let's go to Classic. Now, it's just basically the same game. Now, as you can tell, Manhole was actually based off a Game & Watch game, same name. And this is actually a classic version. It's a lot slower than the modern version, and you can tell why. Especially when there are multiple pedestrians on the road. Is there a pedestrian? Now, the A and B, the A button can actually let you go diagonal. I'm not gonna waste time on this. Anyway, if you don't want to interrupt saver, you just pause and turn the power off. Yeah, that's simple. Anyway, we got 2 more games to show. Anyway, this is Star Wars for the Game Boy. Yep. I actually cannot resist putting Star Wars in. Now, originally, this was actually originally published by Capcom Game Boy, but later, the Player's Choice release, not showing here, but you can see what it is, actually published by Nintendo. Yeah, before patches came exist, they reverted the same cartridge. Well, at least it wasn't, that doesn't not involve adding new characters. I'm looking at you, Mario Strikers Battle League. Anyway, this one's actually a running gun. You play as Luke, Han, or Leia. I'm playing as Luke right now. Alright, let's go into that sand quad. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, I got the button things. This is actually top down. My singer! This is actually a sand choir. Just things. Yeah, this is the only license I'll be showing for this section. We know you might see a couple of them in the next episode, which I'll give you a hint at the cliffhanger. Okay, I kind of spoiled a bit. Ugh, I forgot there's fall damage. Jawa. Oh, great, a crusher. Yeah, I always get stuck on the stage. I'd much rather play Jedi Fallen Order over this. Okay, now before I go on to the next game, apparently, Limit Run Games actually re-released this on a physical Game Boy cartridge. Unlicensed to be exact, but under license from Disney and Lucasfilm. And, kind of funny thing is, Limit Run Games actually did some Disney stuff, and I happen to own one. Yeah, Star Wars Republic Commando on Nintendo Switch. This is actually the physical for my Limit Run Games. And I know THQ Nordic did a re-release of it. Now, here's a funny story. It actually arrived on the same day as that Sora was revealed for Smash Ultimate. So, coincidence? I think not. Yeah. Anyway, let me show you this blue cartridge. It's going to be the final Game Boy looking at for this section. This one really defied the Game Boy and prolonged its existence. Oh, it's a glove full of garbage. Alright, take two. And you can tell it's Pokemon! This is the blue version to be exact. Now, like I said before, Pokemon was released as two different versions. With one version, both versions have the same plot, but the Pokemon counter and the version are different. That became a strategy, even to this day, with the recent Scarlet and Violet. You know, it's kind of ironic you see Pokemon Blue on a red Game Boy. You know, I could have gone with a blue one, but as we all know how expensive they are, even though the site I got them does sell a blue one. Anyway, we got a topic. It's actually not mine. It's actually owned by someone by the name of Drew. Now, I actually had to... I'm originally going to start a new game, but then when I noticed it had legendary Pokemon. Now, this isn't really something as you cannot run. Let me see if I can get into a battle. I need to get into at least one battle to show you what I mean. Yep, you see what I mean? It's Sandshrew! Anyway, these Pokemon are really OP. Let me show you what I mean. Yeah, running Pokemon is actually kind of fun. Yeah, this is really However, here's a catch when using OP Pokemon. You have to have badges early Pokemon is really a good idea, considering we all know that if you get trade Pokemon as OP for trading, it will be ineffective. Yeah. Alright, guess that's it for the Game Boy. Alright, time to end this episode right here. Now, normally on VintageTech, I would cover, well, I'm going to say something. I'll cover this continuation and how to play them, usually. But I'm going to save that for the next episode, which is going to be about, yep, the Game Boy Color.